cannot speak. He has no tongue.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am here today in front of you to let you know that I am a less creative person, but I am bound by structure to be creative. And I'm here along with my friend, more or less. And we're having a great time. It is the Omie D learns the ODL experience. We're here having a good time, turning it up for everybody. Shout outs, Cash Money, doing it big for the 99 and 2000. That's how you get people to the dance floor. See, it works.
What's the area code here? 214
972 or 214.
972214.
214.
Something. I don't know.
It was they said gas was so high that Ludacris suggested you conglomerate your hoes into one area code.
I mean, Tom Brady had to get a job.
I know, he was like,
I'm gonna have to get back into the footballs so I can afford this shit.
I need to play the foosball so I can make the money. Don't be dumb, stupid. Take the money. We could be like that Tiger Woods and his daddy.
That is not the same Tom and Jerry you had on earlier.
No, I was not going to give the WB all that free press, and people would have thought that we were part of the WB, and I was like, the fuck that we are. WB can make that dark.
Dozens of people were going to see this.
I know, but then they might have like tweeted it and be like, we didn't know that y'all were part of like the Batman series, and we're like, whoa, hold on. Like the lights and the camera was so dark, I don't think anybody saw the whole movie.
How dark was it?
It was so dark.
Stupid. So dumb.
I will not play the dozens with the new Batman movie because there were people who like that, and they will eat me up on Twitter because they sit here and do this. They're professional Twitter scavengers.
New Batman movie.
I didn't go see it.
I did because the kid wanted to see it, and I'm all
What did
for
you think
that.
about it?
I thought character choice, casting, phenomenal. Yeah. I was surprised that this vampire turned into a good bat.
Is it like emo Batman?
No, he plays a good Batman. He's emo Batman. He is a stereotype if you choose to stereotype him, which I did going into it, and I had to go, you know what? I'm going to look at him like Batman. Phenomenal Batman. Great job.
Okay.
I was ramped up for some action, like over and over. I'm like, oh, here's where it happens. Nope. Oh, here's where. Nope. Nothing. Nope. 3 hours of, oh, here's where it's about to get good. Nope.
Are you serious?
Never. It's a bunch of build up for jack
one
shit.
Fight.
Yep. Lots of fight, like obviously fights and car chases and things, but
nothing phenomenal.
Nope. Casting was the greatest thing I can say about the movie. I was not bored during the movie. I did watch the whole thing, but
3 hours though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you feel about the 3 hour part? That's the part I don't really like.
It was fine.
Okay, all right. Maybe I'll sit through 3 hours worth for that shit.
Yeah, true. But that's not what we're talking about today.
No, excuse me. I'm sorry. I had to burp because I've been drinking vodka. No, today on Omie D Learns Season 4, we're going to talk about the Columbian exchange. I used to pray to get a kilo. There's a lot of famous people from Colombia. Pablo Escobar. That's about all I know.
Honest question. Should we start this one over?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, okay.
Why?
I got completely distracted. We're good?
No, that's the whole thing. Like, we got distracted, but we got distracted about,
because I can do this.
Okay.
And then, I'm back.
Oh, there you go. Oh, or I could do
Columbian
this.
Bonus beats.
Oh my God.
The Columbian exchange.
Oh my God. That was so not planned, but anyway.
That you've done it 3 times in a row now.
I
So
couldn't resist.
consistency is how we break away from creativity to create the norms. We are talking about the Columbian Exchange. We're going to test my limits of historical knowledge and talk about this guy called Christopher Columbus. Very controversial. He was controversial then. He's controversial now. People are tearing down his statues. Was he
Yes.
a great hero?
No.
Was he a terrible person?
Mhm.
Was he relevant to history? Absolutely. And that's what we're going to talk about today is not his own perceived relevance to history, not why people think he's relevant to history, but the huge, arguably most
Mhm.
impactful thing to world history ever had everything to do with Christopher Columbus, but it had nothing to do with what he thinks his contribution was or what other people thinks his contribution was. So, quick breakdown of Christopher Columbus. Tell me what he did.
He sailed the ocean blue in 1492.
Fantastic. Good year. Good year. Important year.
Yeah, and then he made a bunch of mistakes and got credit for stuff that he really didn't do. Yeah,
Okay. So he's going to get credit, and I'm going to give it to him for starting all of this.
he started the slave trade.
Also true.
He
That's
gave him
not,
the route.
yep, yep. And I think historically that should always be talked about. Make sure that people know that the historical blunders that came from this man and everybody who followed were awful. And we're going to talk about a lot of awful things that came from him. Slave trade's not part of today's conversation, but it should always be part of the conversation. It should not be hidden. It's just not today's conversation. Today we're talking about the Columbian Exchange that came from 1492 when Mr. Columbus, who was not the first person to discover the Americas, and in fact, saying that he discovered America would be like me walking into your house right now and saying, I discovered your vodka.
No,
Oh, but I discovered it.
no, it's my Grey Goose.
Not only would I not be discovering it like he didn't discover America, there was nothing to discover because
It's
people were
mine.
already there. People
I'm
were
already
already there.
drinking my
Yeah.
Grey Goose.
Yeah. Yeah. And even if I take it and I'm like, see, it's mine by divine right. Like, no, this existed the same way that the Americas existed before anybody showed up.
How
So,
dare them bring God into my vodka?
yeah, exactly. So, 1972, a guy named Alfred Crosby from UT of Austin. He writes this
Alfred
book. Yeah, Mr. Crosby. Writes a book
Bing.
called The Columbian Exchange, and it has everything to do with Columbus, which is why we're talking about the Columbian Exchange. And it wasn't necessarily that he did it on purpose. In fact, he had no intention for this, but all of his and Europe's and all these crazy people, not just, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella from Spain, like funding him to come over, but everybody and everything that followed afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
What Alfred Crosby does in the Columbian Exchange is take a scientific look at what happens. And it's really important that we define a couple of things. The old world, which is Europe and Africa,
Yes.
and then the new world, which is America and South America. Real quick history lesson. Why do they call it the old world and the new world?
Because they thought that people were only there before they sailed over there, but they were wrong because they were
True.
stupid.
Now, politically, like the spin, what happens when you tell people that this is the new world? What does that make them think that they can do?
Ooh, it's fancy. We can go there and build a new house.
Oh, it's new. Oh, it's a new opportunity. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, people are here. This is not new.
It's like a new area, but it's not because
It's
there's
not.
people here.
It's not. It's just as old as anything else, but the titles Old World, New World really important. And we'll start
Marketing.
talking about, yes. So we're going to talk about it is marketing, absolute marketing for the people in the old world that they have this idea of what new is.
Europeans. Let's go for it.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to talk about not so much what Christopher Columbus did, but the things that happened, the things that went with him in these journeys. Do you know much about the Silk Road?
The Silk Road. That sounds like it has something to do with Asia.
Absolutely. So Asia into Europe, this was the path that connected them. Historically, the Silk Road was where all trade came from: trade of spices, trade of materials, trade of thoughts, trade of ideas. It connected those two worlds. The
Mm-hmm.
Columbian Exchange is the Silk Road of the Atlantic Ocean. All these things starting to get
Oh,
connected, and we're going to go through what connected. So let's think about the old world and the new world, these
okay.
two hemispheres of the world.
Yeah.
For 15,000 years we're not
East and
connected
West.
whatsoever. Yes, east and west
Nothing.
hemisphere.
Nothing to do with one another. They have no
No,
idea about Nashville
no,
hot chicken at
nope,
all.
nope. Have no idea what's going on. Completely separate. Culturally, historically, evolution is different. The plants that are growing and thriving on these different hemispheres are completely different. The animals are completely different. And
Oh
where you
man.
have the same species on these different hemispheres, their evolution is going to be entirely different as well. Okay, so remember that the old world and the new world are different hemispheres, and they're
Mm,
completely different for 15,000 years. And this guy Columbus and his Nina and Pinta and Santa Maria in 1492, among
them.
all the awful things that he did and all the great things that he said he did,
So look, hold
not
on. I want to
mhm,
explain to everyone
go.
what the hemispheres that we're talking about
Oh,
using
please.
this map over here.
Cool.
So over here, this is the old world. This would be considered the Western hemisphere or the Eastern hemisphere.
East.
The Eastern hemisphere. And this would be Europe
Hmm.
and Africa and
Uh-huh.
everything west of this. And this would be the Atlantic Ocean.
Correcto.
This would be the Western Hemisphere, North America and South America. And right about here is where they would make Nashville hot chicken over here in America. So anyway, continue. Sorry. Just want to
Bam.
make
No,
sure
I love
people
it.
knew.
No,
Yeah.
good geography lesson. That was all true then, even though they messed it up. Of course, Columbus comes over, thinks that he's looking for India because they had no idea that there was these other
Because
continents
that's
here.
way over here
On
on
the
the
other
other
side of the
side,
east, yes, he
on
thought
the
that
other
he
side of
made
the
that
map.
loop.
So
Mhm.
he thought Columbus was like, yeah, skip this shit. And then he got way over here, but he didn't.
Correct. And if we need to have a map conversation and show you the map that he was using when he arrived over there, incredible. Like he's got logic for why he thinks he's in India because it's based on the wrong map.
Right.
Fascinating, different conversation. So let's realize that these two hemispheres, these two old world, new world, they they were combined. And I don't just mean Pangea, like literal physically combined. I mean, it's been 15,000 years since anything combined, from land bridges to waterways to anything. They've been completely separate. So everything's different. Okay.
I'm totally
Um,
listening to you. And
cool.
it's just amazing because you said this map about Columbus, and I think I found it.
Oh, like
Uh,
the one that he used?
Yeah, it's like a 500-year-old map.
That would be about the time that he sailed. Yeah.
Yeah, keep talking. I think I'm trying to pull it up in a
All
way
right.
that everybody can see it.
So let's talk about the significant animals that were different. So from the old world,
Yes.
brand new, never seen in the new world: dogs, cats, chickens, cows, donkeys, goats, honeybees, horses, rabbits, pigs, rats, sheep, silkworms.
Silkworm. Wait, there were silkworms. Wait, you're talking about the animals that would have moved through the exchange from one place to another, not just.
That had never seen the New World, never been to the Americas until 1492.
So
15,000 years
these
of evolution.
animals over here had
Mhm.
never. So if it wasn't for Columbus's rat ass, I mean, excuse me.
Yes.
Well, yes, rat ass, we wouldn't
Yep.
have rats or cats in the wonderful new world.
Correct.
You
Nor
bastard.
sheep, nor rabbits, nor honeybees, nor horses,
I
all these
could
things.
deal without all of those things. And just in case you want to know,
That's it.
this is the Columbus map. Now,
Yep.
can you explain to us how the hell do you think that you went from? Because this looks like
That
what
is
the
the
fuck is
Middle
this?
East. That is the Middle East. All right. So look
Okay,
up at
so
the
he
top.
thought he was over here,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Up there. So up the top left, that's Spain, and then just above it would be England as well. That
right here,
entire. Okay, show me Africa. All of that huge Africa. All of that. Do you know why it's so big on that map?
because this is how big Africa really is.
So it's not compared. So the ratio is much, much longer, and it's huge because it deterred people from going down and around it. And this map tried to get people to sail across and around to the other side. So it's
More
intentionally
marketing,
deceptive. Yes, marketing,
propaganda.
because hey, we don't want people going down around it. We want people driving to the left to land over on the right and get around here. So he did not know that the American continents were there. He thought that was Japan way over there. Look up at the top right.
Right here?
Yep.
That's more like
Because
Iceland.
no, or no, definitely Japan. Yep. And so he thought,
But
because
in
it's
reality,
disproportionate.
wouldn't that be like Iceland?
In reality, he wouldn't get there because he'd have to go across America to do it. And we find all sorts of horror trying to get through the Americas over to Japan. He thought he could take that short trip just to the east across that Atlantic Ocean into what he thought this was the Atlantic Ocean, obviously not named Atlantic at the time, and land over here in the world that he knew, because they can walk along the Silk Road to get over to Asia that you're looking at right there, and Japan off the coast of Asia.
So he thought he was I'm going to leave here and
Mm-hmm.
disappear. And then just walk his ass back home.
No, he thought he was going to go down, look down,
Yeah.
down into where India is, because go around Asia, a little bit around, keep going around. That's Southeast Asia, and now up, and that's India.
So he thought he was going to go into here. He thought
Yep.
he was literally going to, oh, this will be easy, Mom. I'll be back in 2 weeks. Because I mean, this part is invisible right now. This is
It's
just
connected
around
to the other
yeah.
side. Yeah,
This
it's a
is
globe.
around the
Yep.
corner. It's like
Mhm.
whoop. All right, and so I'm just gonna sail down whatever this is, Russia or some shit, and go down here and then hook around Australia and Madagascar and then come back around and wow, what a dumbass. Anyway, sorry, I
Well,
interrupted, but I found that map. What a dumbass.
no, that was a perfect map for why he thought this was India and why he called them Indians, because
if
that's where he thought he
if
was.
if that was the Google GPS he had,
Correct.
I understand why he's a dumbass.
Correct. All right.
All
So
right.
he comes over. We no longer care about Columbus, other than the fact that he gets over here. He goes back to the old world. He's like, I found it. We found the Indians. Obviously, he's completely wrong on that term. Gets over to the Americas. It's a great, wonderful world. Even exaggeration comes over. He's like, they're so backwards. It's because they don't have domestic animals. They're
Wait,
not doing everything the same way that it
time
was.
out, time
Yeah.
out. I gotta call some racism. Shout
Cool.
out to
Please.
Savan. This is bananas. So
Bananas.
you found darker colored people than the ones you're used to. You assume they were Indians and you just rolled with it.
Oh, yeah.
How
And we
fucking
still call
racist
them
are you?
that. Yep.
Oh, look at this. Hey, I've seen people like you over here in India. You must be them too. That's racist. Bananas. Anyway, continue. I'm sorry. I just have to call
Native
racism.
Americans, indigenous people, whatever you want to call them, that is a more correct term. The people who were here before us, that were in the place that we said we discovered, just called them Indians because that's what he knew and that's what he presumed based on the map that he had that was wrong. All right, so he brings all these animals over, not just him, but in the influx of slave trade and people coming over and just explorers and settlers and everybody like, oh, New World, let's go. He brings all this stuff over. Coming back from the New World, they got ducks, they got llamas, they got alpacas, they've got
Say,
turkeys.
buddy. I look. You from the New World, you brought all of these wonderful things, and the shit you dropped off was rats and fucking cats. What a
Yep.
piece of fucking shit exchange this has been so far.
Correct.
I'm sorry. Continue.
Correct. So they bringing all this over there because they're like, oh, they don't have these domestic animals that help us live these European lives where we are flush with pandemics and disease and
Like rats.
class issues of, the way that people think that is a more advanced world requires cows and sheep and goats and all this. And they get over this new world. They're like, oh, these people are backwards. They live off the land freely, harmoniously. They're part of the land. What do they got? A turkey?
Yeah. Man, this is nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So obviously the minks are part of something that they're bringing back, just because rich ladies in Europe love the the new minks. So these are all the
Stealing.
things.
It's
Yes.
stealing.
Well, and also bringing, but they're bringing over honestly some BS that's going to tear apart the land and
I
bringing
mean,
back whatever they want.
other than steaks and honey, the fuck I need a rabbit, a sheep, a cat, a horse, and a fucking rat for? I'm sorry, people, if your kids are listening. I don't need any of those. Keep me with the alpaca ducks and the turkey and some steak. You can keep the rest of that shit in the old
So
world. I'm
as
sorry.
high and mighty as they think they are, because they think it's a godsend for them to come over there, they think, oh, we are the modernization. They think they're the evolution. They're going over here and they're like, oh, these Indians are backwards because they don't believe in the same God as us. Let's bring them the things that we have. So let's talk about the plants that they find, because they realize that the plants that are in this new world are
Yeah.
far better than their own plants.
Let's see. Let's take a
All right.
look at what we got coming back
So
from
plants.
the new world.
No. Coming back from the old world, let's go that way. They get almonds,
Okay.
apples, bananas. No. I'm the wrong way around. From the new world,
Yes.
uh, that they come and take agave,
Yeah.
avocado, beans, bell peppers,
Delicious.
blueberries, cashews, chili peppers, cranberries, chocolate.
All of the things that make tons of money and that we love
Mhm.
in that place. It's amazing. Is it
Chocolate had never
coffee?
been in Europe.
Is it coffee? It was coffee in Europe at that time?
Coffee came from Europe.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll let them have that.
Weed comes from Europe. Apples, grapes, so wine, olives, olive oil. Obviously, that's coming from Greece and Italy. That's all coming from the old world to the new world. Tobacco is coming from the new world.
So basically, the old world brought the party, and the new world was like, "We're all over here organic and shit." And they're like,
Yeah.
"Hey, we got some wine and weed. What up?" Okay, not so bad.
From the new world, they're also going to get corn, cotton, and potatoes, which is going to be huge.
Oh yeah, for the potato
Sunflowers, yes.
famine.
Tobacco, yes, and that's the next thing that we're going to talk about. They're going to get tomatoes, vanilla, zucchini. Yes, so nobody in Europe ever smoked a cigarette or loaded a pipe. Well, with tobacco,
Mhm.
before
So wait,
1492.
whoa. So you mean to tell me before 1492, everybody in Europe was just smoking weed?
Hemp, yep, weed, hemp was no tobacco. They had no idea tobacco existed until after 1492. It was the Columbian exchange, Columbus, that got tobacco into the hands of the French.
Damn you, Columbus, and hello, Europe. Anyway, let's keep
Mhm.
rolling.
All right. So you mentioned the famine, which is important because what's happening while all this exchange is going on is over in Europe, they're fighting. You've got famine, you've got
No,
pandemics, you've got
no,
disease, you've got all this stuff that does not exist in the new world to the
no.
level that they're used to in Europe. Because in the new world, they've got the good food, they've got the
Mm,
harmonious natural
mm-hmm,
landscape. Like they're
mm-hmm,
living well with the world.
mm-hmm.
And in Europe, you've got this class division. And the poor are getting sick. Infestation is happening. The rats that they have are spreading it everywhere. The Black Plague's happening. Like all this awful stuff is happening in the old world.
Oh, Europeans.
They're terrible. And they think that they're the better part of the human race.
Savages.
Yes, but they call who savages?
The Native Americans or the
Absolutely.
native indigenous people of this land that we call
Absolutely.
America.
So they're the ones who are infected with disease. And
Bastards.
yes, and they see it as a God given right that they are better people. But there's a huge boom in population in the 16th and 17th century. So following the Columbian Exchange, Europe explodes in population. Do you know why?
Um,
It's not because of their good hygiene.
I was gonna say they were bored and having a lot of sex. I don't know what do colonizers do. I'm very upset with them right now.
It's because they have stolen a better product from the new world in the form of corn and cotton and potatoes. And so now they bring it back to their disease infested Civil War just people, and people are able to get out of famine. Thank you, Native Americans. They
Thank
are
you.
able to get healthier. Thank you, Native Americans. And they are able to thrive.
Penicillin.
Not quite. They're able to thrive
I was
with
close.
new farming techniques
Where
that
did
they've never
oranges
had
come
before.
from?
Citrus came from Europe.
Damn it. All right.
Yep. Did not have it.
Radiation. No, I'm kidding.
That would be the U.S. and the Oppenheimer. Anyway, okay. So Ireland alone, potatoes help not only to eliminate the famine, but nearly double the population of 3 million Irish to just under 6 million. And they've got a population boom, and they're mad at each other, overpopulating. Guess where they go?
So you say the Native Americans saved Ireland because they
Damn right.
allowed the. That is amazing, and that's the kind of shit that they don't teach in history, ladies and gentlemen.
No. So
and that's
where
why
did
this show is great.
Overpopulated Europe, where do they go?
White flight, they would probably go north.
They go to the New World.
The New World.
They get away from the oppressors and this European way of life and go start their own life, because guess what's happening in the New World during all of this trade? Okay.
Nothing.
A lot is happening, and it's not conquering, it's not exploration. They have dropped off pigs, they have dropped off cows, they have dropped off dogs and cats and rats, and they're not doing anything to take care of them. So over here in this New World,
they're just getting it in.
They're going crazy, destroying the land, destroying the natural plants.
The beauty of what this indigenous land was created for.
The people that are settlers are tearing down forest, which is opening up the playing field for these plants and weeds, not just weed, but weeds to take over the lands. These rabbits are tearing things up. The cows, the pigs are probably the worst thing that's happening over in the Americas. The food supply of the Native Americans, the indigenous people, the Indians, is getting ravaged by these animals that the Europeans brought over. So the Europeans do not even have to conquer the Indians. They're just dying out because of what was brought over. Now, it's able to thrive. Like this new plant, these new plants, the new vegetations are just taking over Americas and spreading faster than ever before because of our little friend, the honeybee.
I hope this looks very, very good on this camera screen, because I'm looking directly at you for this next segment as I turn around to the camera and say,
"You are not looking at me."
Hold on. I'll do it this way.
Yeah, I'll go that way. Now you're looking at me. There you go.
For this next segment that I'll turn around and we'll call White People. Continue.
All right. So without having to make any effort as a human species, a race, anything of, quote, conquering, as they write the history books that they took over the Americas.
Yeah, they call that manifest destiny and shit.
No, none of that. No. It just happened because these two hemispheres hadn't seen each other, and we bring all this disease and terribleness from Europe over into America. And within 100 years of Columbus's arrival, just one or two generations, 80% of the indigenous people in America are gone.
The dodo.
It goes from 100 million people in the Americas down to 20 million people. And now when these booming Irish populations come over and they look, they see the Americas as this barren, empty land ripe for the taking because of what they did through the Columbian exchange.
You son of a bitch, Columbus.
Yep.
Oh, tear down his fucking statues, you
yeah.
Son of a bitch.
So that is where the old world meets the new world, and where arguably the world becomes one big world of everybody's ideas all over the place. And arguably 1492 should be year one for world history, because it's no longer Europe and African and Asian history, and it's no longer indigenous peoples in North America or the Aztecs or anything over in America, North and South. It's no longer any of that now because of Columbus finding these routes. It's all put together, and it had nothing to do with anything that they intended to do. It had everything to do with the ripping apart of the land, the invasive species, and of course the diseases and everything that they brought over on their boats, because people are trying to get away from the oppressors in Europe and decided we're going to go over to this nice empty world over here that had been emptied at the same time that they were making mink coats and drinking chocolate for the first time.
Damn it, Versace. Dude.
There you go. That's it. Columbian
Every,
Sage.
every time this show takes place, I somehow end up in this same space here. Let me make sure everybody can see this right here. It's this same.
Yep.
We're really good at debunking history, as one of my history professors said. Shout outs to Dr. Chrisman. I mean, you brought me wine. You brought me some other things that I enjoy. Olives, weed.
Europeans.
White women.
Because I was going to say, I think you like Europeans.
I'm going to say it.
They also brought you STDs.
Oh, well, you know what?
Smallpox, measles, chickenpox, tuberculosis. They brought all those things
all
too.
that shit could have stayed over there. We could have done.
Nope.
But we got one. That was a tough one. But you know what? This is a very good history lesson. I will let everyone decipher exactly how they're going to feel about Europe. As
Native Americans saved the Irish without even getting on a boat.
Native Americans saved the world twice.
Right.
So
before
far,
the world took them out.
Wait, maybe 3 times, because they did do the code for World War II that allowed us to
forgive me, Navajo, Comanche.
Navajo was it the Navajo code? I think it was called.
Comanche.
Yeah, it was Navajo for sure. But yeah, so the Native Americans, very integral part apparently of world history, apparently saving the world one European at a time, over and over again. This show is great.
But yet they're seen as the weaker
species. Look, without Native Americans, we would all be dead right now.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't be alive.
Exactly. Thank you, Native Americans. Shout outs to my Native American people up in Washington. Shout outs to Mandy and the fam. Anybody you want to give shout outs to?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Okay, cool. Well, then there's an outro here somewhere that we play when it's about that time. Is it that time? I think it's that time. Outro. See you later.
DJ Omie D.